Hi, everyone. I'm like waiting. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the live stream. I'm actually really excited to be here today. It feels like I have been out of the regular streaming schedule. My partner and I were actually talking about this the other day. He's like, Danielle, you need to start streaming again. And I know I streamed a couple weeks ago, but then I kind of like fell off the wagon again. It's been a lot. If you've seen my community post, you know I've been dealing with a lot lately. And I've just been really stressed out, but I am so excited to be back today. I took the weekend to kind of, go off grid. We had no cell phone service, and it was exactly what the doctor ordered. So, hello. If you're jumping on, hi, Lisa, Phoenix, Lizzie. I know Lori is listening while she cooks dinner. Super excited to get into this video today. Today is essentially, if you missed the memo, it's a part 2 to a pre-recorded video that I posted, I think about 2 weeks ago now. I did a collaboration with Ruth McAuliffe, who I've linked in the description of this live video. And she essentially collaborated with me on a video where we discussed content warning for those of you who are sensitive to topics surrounding eating disorders, weight loss, that kind of thing. Make sure you don't watch this video if that stuff is sensitive to you. But essentially, we collaborated on this video where I talked about eating disorders and these coaches who claim to be able to help you heal your eating disorders. We're going to get into that in a bit. But this is all just to preface all of that. So if that's something that's not conducive to your journey and your lifestyle and you find that content really triggering, please do not watch this live stream. But in the meantime, hello. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. Let me know what your beverage of choice is this evening. We have our tried and true President's Choice sparkling water, flavor of the week, blueberry pomegranate. Haven't had this one in a very long time. It was in stock in my new grocery store. I moved recently, so different selection. Excited to be here. Should I be drinking carbonated drinks when I have to talk for 2 hours? Probably not, but nonetheless. Thank you, Lizzie, for watching that video. She says, that video was so well done and so horrifying. So to continue on this trend, essentially what we're going to be doing today is less talking head from me. We're going to be focusing more on essentially just other content that I wanted to put in that original video, but then the video itself would have been like 2 hours long. So I figured we could just live react to it together. So it's just more problematic content that I found on the internet or that was sent to me by viewers, and I thought we could react to it together. Now, before we get into that, there were a few things I wanted to go over. First one being that if you missed the memo, I think I fixed it now. I put together a new submission form last week, which you can find in the description. And essentially it is, if you come across coaching content, whether it's related to health coaching, business coaching, life coaching, spiritual coaching, whatever, you can submit it to that form for me to react to. So basically you'll upload it to your Google Drive or you'll find it on Instagram, TikTok, wherever. And you can just send me a link either, again, to your Google Drive or directly to the content. And that's just going to help me be able to create more content for those of you who watch my videos, because it is very time consuming for me to have to spend hours searching through TikTok and Instagram to find content. So if you come across things that you think are problematic and you want my take on it, please submit it to that form. If you have a coaching scam story that you want to submit for me to react to, you can send that in a separate form. So there's a form for scam story submissions. That's where you would tell me how you got scammed. And then there's a form for reaction content. And I think it's labeled scam reaction. So if anyone has questions about that, let me know. But I think I fixed it so that everyone should be able to access it now. Lisa is drinking 0 alcohol white wine. What brand do you drink? Because any of the non-alcoholic wines that I've drank taste like grape juice or like not even good grape juice. So if you have one you could recommend, let me know. I have yet to find one that's good. There are quite a few really good non-alcoholic sour beers. Or last week I had a non-alcoholic IPA that was actually really good. I tried the non-alcoholic like Budweiser. It was gross, but the Partake like craft IPA, so good and no alcohol. So we love that. We love that around here. Okay. I've been rambling for 5 minutes. I have a list here of all of the things I wanted to talk about before we got into the videos. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, 2 more pieces. First one being DC is going live at 6 p.m. So in 2 hours, which we should be done by then. So that's just an FYI for everyone out there. And number 2, I am going live again on Thursday. Mark your calendars, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going live with Reaction Therapy, who is one of my VIP channel members, super supportive of all of my content, and he is a licensed therapist. And we are going to be having a candid conversation about the coaching industry. As someone who is formerly identifying as a life coach and him a therapist, we're going to have the opportunity for you to ask questions like Q&A style. And I'm going to ask him a few questions myself about his perspective and his take on things that we see in the life coaching industry. So if you have any specific questions that you want answered from the perspective of a therapist, please submit those to me. You can do it on Instagram. I'm going to make a community post tomorrow where you can post those questions. So let's have a fun connection conversation, and I'm looking forward to that. That will be, again, Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Love it, love it, love it. Samuel, hello. Appreciate that. Thank you for being here. If you haven't given the stream a thumbs up, please do. And thank you so much for being here. Okay, last piece of housekeeping before we get started. I promise I'll stop rambling soon. Quick shout out to my VIP channel members: James, Michael, Hillary, Tom, Kojo, Lisa, Why Self-Help Sucks, Other Lisa, and Pablo Eater. Thank you so much. If you're interested in learning about my channel membership, you can click the join button down below. Basically, you get early access to all of my video content here on YouTube. If you're a VIP, I'll also show you out over on Instagram. And I'm working on adding a few additional tiers to the roster in the coming weeks. So as we get back into streaming, good things are coming. Okay, it's been 8 minutes almost of me rambling. So let's get into the video. Love it. I'm going to look this up once we're done here. I get it online from the Zero Proof. There's actually so many, I just learned this recently, like so many cool websites that just have like hundreds of different non-alcoholic cocktails and spirits and stuff for sale. So excited to tantalize my taste buds. Okay. So again, if you missed the memo, hi. Today we're talking about these problematic health coach, binge eating coaches, intuitive eating coaches, whatever they want to call themselves, people who pretend to act like they have the secrets to help you overcome your eating disorders when the reality is they don't. If you are someone who struggles with disordered eating, please speak to a licensed medical professional or a licensed therapist, someone who's actually trained in knowing how to help you with things of such a caliber. If you haven't already, please switch from top chat to live chat. Give the stream a thumbs up. And let's jump right into our first piece of content. So again, for context, the content we're reacting to is a stockpile of content I had from the original video, which is linked in the description if you haven't watched it, that I just didn't have time to include in that original video. So first things first, we'll get right into a screenshot that I found here. Why does this have so many tabs open? Okay, give me a second. There we go. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Let me check. Okay, I'm just going to, I feel like, no, is this okay? Do we want it bigger? Maybe for the text ones, I'll make it big. And then for the videos, I'll do a side-by-side. Okay. So if you're kind of new here, you don't really know why I have such a problem with these people who talk about this stuff. It's mostly due to the fact that they're not qualified to be doing so, but also because they aren't qualified, it leaves space for a lot of harm to be caused by the things that they are saying. And so in this post here, this individual is saying, I get you because I was you. And I'm thinking about this now. We might actually get into this person's website in a little bit, but I get you because I was you. I was stuck on that binge diet roller coaster for a decade where all I thought about was weight loss and calories. It consumed me and stopped me from living life to the fullest. Now, this is the same thing we see in the business coaching space, life coaching space, spiritual coaching space, any of these coaching spaces where these people essentially take something that has happened to them, something that they've overcome, And they twist it into a way to essentially make a profit, in my opinion. So this individual, again, this is from their sales page, which we're going to get into later, essentially is taking her personal experience with binge eating, claiming that she's overcome binge eating. And because she has overcome it, she is now somehow qualified to help other people overcome their binge eating disorder, which, if you know anything about anything, just because you have done something yourself, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are now qualified to teach other people how to do that thing. Yes, there are certain circumstances. Let's think about like business, for example. Maybe you learned how to run and operate a successful business. Awesome. There are things that you learned in that process that you can now use to mentor other people to start their own businesses. Can you guarantee certain results? No. But can you suggest that you know a few things that might help them? Sure. And so the problem with health coaches when it comes to this is that people's health isn't something that you just play around with. I could tell you I have the secrets to starting a business. And if you try to start a business and you fail, generally speaking, as long as I'm not charging you thousands of dollars, I'm not going to put you in a compromised position where it could be detrimental to your overall well-being. In the case of health coaching, in my opinion, or this like binge eating, intuitive eating, whatever kind of food coaching they want to call themselves, this can be life or death in certain scenarios, because eating disorders can have absolutely detrimental, lifelong lasting implications if not treated correctly by a medical professional who knows what they're doing. So the whole thing just gets me really riled up, and I apologize in advance if I seem long-winded or get very angry, but I just find it really irritating the audacity someone would have to think that just because they learned how to cure their eating disorder, they're suddenly qualified to teach other people how to cure theirs. Anyways, that's a story on ego for another day. What we're going to watch next is a video. And just like any of the content I share here on my channel, it's never about the people. It's not about this particular individual. I don't know who this person is. I don't even remember how I found this video. Someone either sent it to me or I typed in binge eating coach and she was who popped up. I don't care who this person is. So please do not go to their profile. Do not share any hate. Do not say anything inappropriate to them. I am simply sharing her video as an example as to why this behavior and the things that she is saying are problematic and are just a representation of the hundreds, if not thousands, of other people who are doing the same thing. So let's jump right in. This is from her YouTube channel, and it's basically a video of her explaining how she overcame her binge eating disorder. And it's titled, "I binged on an entire bag of cookie dough, my binging rock bottom." So we know it's going to be a good one.
Hey, I'm Breed, and let me share a quick story with you. So, about 8 years ago, I had hit rock bottom with my binge eating. I had just binged on an entire bag of cookie dough, my go-to binge food at the time, and I felt disgusting. I felt so physically sick. So I actually ended up going on a run at about 11 p.m. at night to try to work it off. So I was running up this hill, and of course I felt like throwing up because I had a whole bag of cookie dough in my stomach. And eventually I had to stop running, and I lay down on the path, the concrete path. I started looking up the stars, and it was just this movie moment of like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, what has got me to this point where I have just eaten an entire bag of cookie dough, feeling completely out of control, and now I'm on a run in the middle of the night, feeling like I'm gonna throw up. It just didn't seem right. Like, this is not where my life is supposed to be right now. So the very next day, I jumped into a detox cleanse, and the next few days went really well. I started losing a bit of weight, and I was feeling really positive, but then I binged again, and the cycle continued.
I'm muted. Whoops. Before we keep going, I wanted to pause this because I think, again, that this is a very accurate, I guess, demonstration of the same thing we see again across coaching, life coaching, business coaching, spiritual coaching, food coaching, health coaching, etc. It's this, let me tell you the most dramatic story that has ever possibly happened to me. It's probably embellished a little bit if I'm being truthful. And the intention behind this isn't for me to be vulnerable and to share my human experience. The intention with this is for me to get you to feel like I know who you are. I understand your struggles. My story is your story. Your story is my story. Therefore, it helps to build the authority that I have the secret to help you overcome the same challenge. So if you're struggling with binge eating on cookie dough or binge eating on whatever food, insert your food of choice here, because I had the same experience, I'm going to be able to help you. And it's that kind of manipulation to me that is disgusting. This just really grinds my gears.
And I was stuck in this cycle for 10 years
10
of
years,
binge,
how old are you?
restrict, diet, obsessing about my weight loss. It was not fun at all. I just hated that guilty feeling after you'd eat anything bad and then you try to eat really clean or good for a few days and it would just return. It would be the same cycle and you'd be constantly counting calories, mentally calculating, checking on my phone, trying to figure out how many calories have I eaten today, how many do I need to eat to start to lose weight. And even worse was that feeling after a binge where I would just look around and see like empty Nutella jars, empty pizza boxes, and be completely panicking and trying to figure out like what's the game plan? How am I going to work this off? How am I going to burn these calories? There was just so much planning all the time. I was consumed with planning what I need to eat, what I need to do for exercise, how I can control this situation that felt so out of control. I would sneak food into my room all the time, binging alone. I couldn't wait till everyone had left the house so I'd finally be at peace to binge without anxiety of people seeing me and me feeling embarrassed and judged. I would cancel on social events all the time as well. It makes me so sad to think of all of those events and memories and opportunities that I missed out on because I just felt so terrible about myself. I hated what I saw in the mirror. So I literally tried.
Okay, and I don't want any of my commentary to come across as like discrediting this person's experience. For those of you that aren't familiar, binge eating disorder is basically when you eat a large amount of food in a very short amount of time. And you essentially face this feeling in which you feel like you can't control how much or what exactly it is that you're eating. And so I don't want to say that she never had this experience. But again, for me, the way in which she is telling this story comes off, and maybe you can agree or disagree with me in the comments. It's coming off very much like the textbook definition of binge eating disorder. Like, okay, if I had a binge eating disorder, these are the experiences I would have. And again, I think it's a means of getting people who are struggling to really feel like they can relate to her. And again, I don't want it to come across as me like discrediting her experience. If she did experience this, that's truly terrible. Sorry, I apologize for my dog. Um, but sorry, I'm just reading Heather's comment. But to me, again, it just seems like she's checking off too many of the boxes. Demi says, this sounds like a horrible experience for her, but how does she think it qualifies her to help or teach others? That is the root of what we are discussing here today. Again, this is like merely an example of what we see across the industry. Just because you have experienced or overcome some particular challenge doesn't necessarily qualify you to then be an expert in whatever that thing is, unless you have a thorough understanding of how the process that worked for you can be altered to then be applied to other people's lives, which using only lived experience doesn't give you that qualification, in my opinion. Okay, enough blabbing. Let's continue.
Tried everything, not just the detox, but juice cleanses, personal trainers, GPs, self-help books, therapists, CBT, hypnosis, veganism, keto, low carb, yoga. I mean, everything.
Again, this is something we especially see in the life coaching space. She wants you to make it sound like she tried all the things. You have binge eating disorder. You went to therapy. It didn't work for you. You went to a doctor. It didn't work for you. You tried yoga. You tried this diet. I know because I did all those things. And now I have the magic solution that worked for me that's going to work for you. And again, we see it in the life coaching space. I tried therapy and it didn't work. Then I hired a life coach and my life changed forever. That it's like your experience is the anomaly. It's not the rule or the reality for most people. Ooh.
So finally, after 10 years of trial and error, of these baby steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, I finally have got to a place where I love myself and I feel free. I can eat those foods I love in moderation. I have a bag of cookie dough in the house right now and I feel totally chill about it.
I 100% agree, Demi. For those of you that are only listening, Demi says, I feel like these experiences should spur people to get qualifications and education on how to help others. I can't fathom just skipping that part. That's the piece that is very confusing for me is like, okay, let's say that I struggle with addiction of some sort and I overcome that addiction. Maybe I want to become an addiction counselor and I want to be able to, help people work through their addictions. I wouldn't just say that because I overcame my own addiction, I'm now qualified to help other people. I would want that kind of like educational, not even just for the credential, but for the actual understanding of how I was able to achieve overcoming my addiction. I would want to know psychologically, like why and how that happened so that I could help other people, not just, well, this solution worked for me, so it's definitely going to work for you. It seems very naive to have that perspective.
I don't count calories. I'm not obsessed with my weight. I literally haven't weighed myself in 2 years. I have no idea how much I weigh, and that feels so freeing to me. Best of all, I finally just feel like I have my life back. All of that physical and mental energy that I had put into the binging and trying to fix it and just being obsessed about all of that weight, diet, binge, restrict stuff is now freed up, and I can channel it into things that really, really matter for me and are helping me get to that life that I really want. So things like social events, friendships, love, my hobbies, and also this space, Free with Breed. So if any of this resonates with you, just reach out to me. I have got your back. So I've got 2 amazing ways to help you get that life back. One, the 30-day reboot course. It is jam-packed with written videos.
We don't need to hear about our offers. You guys get the point. Again, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's not about this particular individual. I don't want you to go and spread hate to them. It's just like she is an example of the same kind of people I shared in the initial video that I did a couple weeks ago, which again, if you just jumped on, I have that linked in the description if you've missed it. But it drives me absolutely up the wall that these people think that just because they learned how to overcome their issues with food, they can now teach you. Heather, we are going to get into that. I don't actually know the top off the top of my head. I don't know the price. Heather is asking if I know the price for her course, but I do have her website pulled up, and we're going to take a little scroll snoopity snoop through her website. So stay tuned. Yes. Naive is a great way to describe it, like a lack of self-awareness that there are other human experiences besides one's own. I think, again, too, just because of this particular industry, this type of behavior is almost perpetuated and taught. So, again, regardless of whether we're talking about these health coaches or we're talking about business coaches or we're talking about life coaches, there is this narrative online, especially on apps like TikTok or Instagram, where people are led to believe that if they have experience in any subject, that makes them an expert and qualifies them to now teach other people on how to do that thing. And this comes up in so many of the reaction videos I do, where these women will essentially tell you if you want to make a lot of money, take an experience you've had, whether again, it's in business, it's in life, it's in health, package it into a course or a program, and now charge other people for you to teach it to them. And so it really comes from this lack of awareness, like you said, that just because you've experienced something doesn't now qualify you to teach it to other people. And when it comes to the whole like binge eating, eating disorder space, that for me is where it gets especially problematic because again, this can come down to like a life or death scenario for some people. I'm all for sharing relatable experiences to connect with audiences. The missing link for me is how these experiences transition into being qualifications. Exactly. For expert or mentor status. That's the piece that's always missing. Again, across the industry, in my opinion. Yes. Lisa, I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of questions as we look through her sales page. Again, I have her website open, but I haven't actually gone through it. So I'm not entirely sure what the different lengths of her different offers are, but I'm very curious to see how much we can accomplish in a short period of time. And then we also have like her whole YouTube channel. So we could look through perhaps some of those videos. But first, let's go over to her website and have a little look. So the initial screenshot I shared at the beginning of the video was from this person's website. So we might see that part again. But again, it was just like a random screenshot that I had saved in my document. So I'm a little bit conjoined. Conjoined? That's not the word. Disjointed is what I meant to say. It's been a long day, okay? Okay. So here we are on her website. I help women break up with binge diet cycle and fall in love with their bodies. You get to have your cake and eat it too without a side of shame, guilt, and stress. Again, really speaking to people's insecurities when it comes to food, in my opinion. Here's how I can serve you. So let's see. Transform your sense of self-worth with this 12-module course. Find body peace and stop letting your weight and appearance dictate your mood. Again, our therapist, or is this just a course that you made up based on your own experience? Option 2, the 30-day reboot course. Heal your food relationship with this online course. Okay, so it's all online courses. Learn how to stop these food stress and start eating normally again. Who defines normal? Someone. I am also, I don't know, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What is your perspective on trying to overcome an eating disorder or any kind of mental health disorder, really, with online courses? So I'll give you a little bit of an example from my own personal life about, when was this? Just during the pandemic. I had a pretty traumatic scenario sort of take place that I had to live through. And I started going to therapy shortly after that. And they had me sign up for this like online CBT course where I would have to work through these modules and essentially like do CBT on myself through the online course. And for me, it really wasn't helpful. I don't do well in like a self-led, self-guided kind of situation, mostly because I procrastinate a lot and I can't focus in that kind of setting. And so to try and overcome like my mental health problems isn't probably the right word of choice. But you know what I mean. To try and like work through that kind of stuff in a self-guided online course format, at least for me, was not effective at all. I ended up having to like go and find a different therapist and then work through it with him in therapy. So to me, to make it seem like you can overcome your binge eating disorder with an online course, again, seems very naive, seems like it comes from a place that's probably not evidence-based based on what I've seen so far, and seems a little bit problematic, in my opinion. Demi says, online courses aren't something I ever consider for treating my depression and anxiety, and certainly not for more extremes. Exactly. Like if I was going through a really bad bout of depression to the point where I was feeling a particular way about how I wanted things to go, I don't think an online course was going to save me, if you know what I'm saying. It seems very dangerous. Exactly. Okay. So it's not just me. I'm like, this doesn't seem helpful. I tried an online ED course out of desperation. Honestly, kind of made it worse. I'd be scared to try any other kind of mental health online course. Okay. And that's kind of where I'm going with this is like, if I'm just trying to put myself in the perspective of someone who maybe has a binge eating disorder or any kind of eating disorder, and for someone to be like, I have the solution for you, it'll only take 30 days and your whole life is going to be changed. I can see how that would be incredibly appealing to me. And I would be like, okay, I'm desperate for a solution. So, like, let's go. But because the person who's teaching it to me is not qualified to be doing so, that's how I can see it also being incredibly problematic. And I'm not going to see that. I'm in a desperate position, right? So I desperately want out of my suffering. I find this person, I think she has the solution I want. It's going to take me 30 days and my whole life is going to be changed. I end up taking this online course. And what happens is, I'm going to assume in the majority of cases, I either don't see any improvement or I end up in an even worse position than where I started. And then I have to do even more work to get out of that. That's the part that's kind of like, I don't know about this. Yeah, exactly, Lori. Good point. If I could solve it on my own in an online course, I would have done it long ago. 100%. Cozy Thing says, from a clinical perspective, people should be assessed to determine their level of care. If it was coupled with therapy and there was clinical oversight for the course, but left alone is not treatment. Good point. So yeah, I think that that's very true as well. And you'll see that too with a lot of different mental health professions, I suppose. Like when I used to work in addictions, I would give my clients like self-study material that they would work through, but then we would have like a follow-up call the next day and we would talk about the things that they worked through the night before on their own. And a lot of the times it's just like self-reflection journals and stuff like that. But you definitely can't just have like a one size fits all approach and say that this online course is going to solve everyone's problems, because again, that's not customizing it to, again, sorry, if we go back to why people have eating disorders, which again I talked about in the initial video, which is linked in the description, it often is rooted in other problems that you have experienced, traumatic situations you faced, how you were raised, different experiences you've had in your lifetime, etc. My reasons for having an eating disorder are going to be different than Becky's reasons for having an eating disorder, are going to be different than Sarah's reasons for having an eating disorder. None of us have the same exact things that cause us to end up where we are and to cause us, while our symptoms might present similarly, just like any mental health challenge that you face, the reason why we face those mental health challenges are not because of the same reason. And so I don't know, to have this like blanket approach through an online course to me is very unsettling. I've taken online courses for things like drawing and creating vector art, but doing it from a random person with no evidence or education for something serious seems like a poor choice. Exactly. I'm a big fan of online courses. Honestly, I think that there's a lot that you can learn to improve specific tangible skills in your life through online courses. But when it comes to things like mental health or that borderline mental health, it's a big no for me. Hard pass. I often get homework and therapy, but we follow up in the next section. Exactly. The homework on its own is not therapy. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. I've also had homework from therapy before, but it would be so irresponsible of me to turn that into a course and sell it to people. Exactly. All of a sudden, Demi starts shilling some like therapy course. Just kidding. 100%. Okay, so it's not just me. Let's continue. Okay, so option number 3 is sustainable fat loss. Okay. I'm back. We need to talk about this. Is it just me, or does the idea of trying to help someone overcome a binge eating disorder seem counterintuitive to then also sell a fat loss course? And maybe I just don't understand binge eating disorder. Again, I don't struggle with eating disorders, thankfully. But to me, an unlicensed, untrained professional talking head on the internet, it seems very problematic to be someone who is a binge eating expert, but then also shilling a course specifically related to fat loss. Like if I struggle with an eating disorder, I probably struggle with like body dysmorphia and a bad relationship with weight loss and diets and that kind of thing. So is it really safe for me to be taking a sustainable fat loss course when I'm also struggling with binge eating? Very confused. Let me know your thoughts and I'll continue. If you want to lose weight after food freedom. So you're going to teach me how to overcome my eating disorder, and then you're going to teach me how to lose weight sustainably. I don't like this at all. This seems so incredibly harmful. Then we have some testimonials, the same video I just showed you, and this was the original screenshot I showed you at the beginning. And then she has some free resources. Are we interested in watching this binge eating masterclass? I will let you tell me in the comments, and in the meantime, I will sign up for it. Okay, I will use my burner email.
Welcome to this master.
I got it autoplays. Okay, there we go. Phew. Okay. Where are you guys? I lost the tab. Okay. Let me just get caught up. It is incredibly dangerous. Okay. Binge eating and being overweight don't necessarily go together, but it seems kind of gross to offer courses on over. Yeah, okay. That's kind of more what I meant. Was like I feel like a lot of the times there is a little bit of overlap there, and it seems really problematic to be offering both. From a clinical perspective, it's a big no-no. It's counterproductive. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I think this comes with the territory of obviously not being educated in the space, and because she's only speaking from personal experience to me, that would be why we see something so problematic happening. But again, I'm just a talking head on the internet. What do I know? Yes. Demi says, why you're still binge eating. She has no way of knowing that. You don't say. You don't say. Yes. So Heather is asking, why are there so many free offerings? Is it to pull people in with the free content so then they'll pay for the pricey course? Yes. So I'll keep this tab open and I'll go back to the page with all of her free offerings because I kind of just skipped that. Here we go. So she has the masterclass. She has the 3 things I wish I knew when struggling to lose 25 kilos, which again, we're talking about fat loss made easy when we're also binge eating. Don't like that. And then how to not emotionally eat when stressed, sad, or bored. Yes, 100%. In my opinion, I didn't realize I was sharing that like this. Here we go. I think she's as a way to try to appeal to as many people as possible. So whether you struggle with binge eating, whether you struggle with wanting to lose weight, whether you struggle with eating when you're stressed, I have a solution for all of you. Okay, so I'm thinking we'll actually continue to peruse her website, then we'll watch the masterclass. Let me know in the comments what you think. I want to see if she has somewhere that shows like her qualifications. But it doesn't look like she does. She just has her courses, her free stuff. She has lots of free stuff. Her podcast. Proof, maybe? Oh, okay. These are testimonials. So she has an entire page of testimonials. Ew. And then more free stuff. So here we go. Maybe here. I'm like, where's the about page? Okay. Here we go. So I'm a certified food and body coach. Okay, where is your certification from? Please explain. My mission is to help women break up with the binge restrict cycle and heal their relationship, food, and their body image. I started Free with Breed. Free with Breed? Is that what you said? Yeah, Breed. As a way to turn my own 10-year mess into a message for others struggling. It seems like a crime to me to hold on to all the wisdom I've gathered over the years. Oh my god, it's like she's doing a service for all of us by not keeping this information to herself. Okay. My eating disorder slowly crept on at around the age of 16 when my life was uprooted from Hong Kong and we moved to Moscow. It turned everything upside down and I suddenly felt like my life had changed completely. I didn't have the same strong social group I had before and started to lose myself. I stopped going out with friends as much. I stopped playing sports and I lost self-confidence. Again, I don't want to downplay any of the life experiences she's had. I'm sure that all of that really did impact her mental health as it would anyone. I started eating double portions for dinner and substituted my old healthy habits for chocolatey cereals, pizzas at the canteen for lunch, and Twixes after dinner. Before I knew it, my body was beginning to change. Once I got into university in London, things went downhill very quickly as I felt isolated living in my tiny dorm room and finding out that my parents were getting divorced. Food soon became my distraction from all of the turbulent emotions I was going through. So she herself really, to me, kind of alluding to the fact that like I was having a really hard time with my mental health and that was what was causing me to spiral, which to me would trigger like you should probably get professional help or recommend that other people get professional help. I don't know. With binging came the panic and need to control the situation, which meant none other than dieting. Over the years, I went through a roller coaster of yo-yoing in weight and trying every diet under the sun. Juicing, plant-based keto, so same thing she explained in the video. With every dieting failure, the intensity of my binging increased and my life felt further and further out of control. I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I get this one thing right that everyone else could? Eating. To try to compensate for my ever increasing weight, I obsessively exercised. At one point, I was going to the gym 2 to 3 hours a day, doing mostly cardio. Fun times. I also isolated myself from old friends and family, embarrassed by what I thought they'd think of my appearance, when they obviously made me feel even, which then obviously made me feel even more lonely. One of the reasons I was binging. I tried it all: therapist, CBT, hypnotherapy, books, meditation, nutrition, gratitude journaling, homeopathy, Reiki, and documentaries, everything. So, again, this is a tactic that not just her, most coaches use to discredit professions that actually specialize in this kind of help. They want to make it sound like those solutions won't work, but I have the one for you. So, forget therapy and pay me money. uh, Okay, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'd spent so much of my time and energy thinking about my binging problems and my weight that once out of university, I felt completely lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, which led to things spiraling further. I began to dive into extreme measures to try to control my struggle. I went to detox retreats, ran half marathons, tried fasting for days on end. It was exhausting. I lost a lot of weight over this time, but found it extremely difficult to maintain. It was a constant struggle. Eventually, my road to recovery began when I got a job in London and moved into my mother's home. My life began to stabilize, and I was able to build a strong social network that I'd been yearning for almost a decade. Healing started slowly with many hurdles along the way. My self-worth was at rock bottom as I found myself in a string of highly toxic relationships with guys. The twists and turns in this story, my friends, but I over time but over time, other elements of my life were finally falling into place as I healed my relationship with food and body image. So basically, she made friends and was able to overcome her eating disorder. Am I reading this correctly? Once I finally let go of the last of these toxic relationships, everything took off. I finally began to realize how amazing, lovable, and beautiful I was. This emotional release was the last step for me in allowing myself to fully heal. Over the following year, I got down to my body's natural set weight without trying at all. And that was simply because my binging completely stopped. Okay, this seems so simplistic. I'm getting really agitated reading this. It's like I'm glad that if the experience she shared in the beginning of this paragraph, this section thingy is true and she was struggling with all those things, I'm glad that she was able to find a solution, but much like one of the videos that I posted in the original video where the woman was saying, "Well, I used to be addicted to alcohol and then I just stopped drinking and now I'm not addicted anymore." This is giving me the same vibe. Anyone who knows anything about addiction, whether it's alcohol addiction, food addiction, addiction to drugs, it is much more complex than simply just deciding to stop doing whatever it is. But this person, this individual here, is making it sound like she overcame her binge eating disorder by making friends and deciding she didn't want to have a binge eating disorder anymore. Oh, this is so irritating. I gradually let go of all my food rules that I'd sent to my brain over the years of dieting and restricting. Now food is there to nourish my body and soul. I no longer use it to numb unwanted emotions. Now that I don't spend most obsessing over losing weight and binging, I have the time and energy to pursue things I love, like socializing, learning, and building my business. Again, there's like, it's like a part of the story is missing. It was like she went from this place of being miserable, and now all of a sudden, oh, magic, I'm not miserable anymore. That is my journey in a nutshell. Do you relate to any of it? If so, you've come to the right place. Those tumultuous 10 years of my life helped me identify what works and what doesn't. I've realized how important mindset, challenging food rules, and dealing with deeper emotional issues is to reaching food freedom. I cannot wait to help you heal and stop feeling guilty about food. I don't like this. I don't like it one bit. Okay, let me catch up on the comments. I'm getting very angry. It's weird to me that she doesn't say I'm a blank that I'm a blank certified food and body coach. That certification is really important if it exists. Exactly. Like, even if you're like, oh, I am, and then input the name of the school, even if you did it online. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm an ICF certified life coach, like something, anything. If she did seek therapy, I'm glad she did, but this just reads as I met with one therapist once and didn't connect with them, and therefore no therapist can help. This is something that comes up in my comments a lot, is a lot of people, especially on my videos where I'm like bashing life coaching, they will say, well, I went to therapy and it didn't work for me. And then I will often reply and say, okay, but how many therapists did you go to? Because personally, I had to go to multiple therapists until I found one that I actually liked. It's like making friends. You're not going to be friends with everyone, just like you're not going to like every therapist that you talk to. Ugh, I hate these vibes. I hate it. The issue originates with the coaches who coach coaches on online course creation because the ease of starting an online business. Yeah, exactly. That's what I talked about earlier. Anyone can be an expert in anything if they have experience in anything. If you've experienced something, you are now an expert. It's like when people tell me to just be happy when they find out I'm depressed. Not everyone can just choose to stop having a problem. 1000%. Lori, you're right. Get over it. You have a binge eating disorder, just stop. You're addicted to alcohol, stop drinking. You have a problem with over-the-counter prescription pills, stop using them. That's sarcasm, obviously, people. It's much more complicated than that, but these people make it sound so easy. Nika says, I know a coach who charges $5,000 for group online classes for weight loss with no one-on-one. At least this person is a physician. Okay, but I still don't like that. Okay, so let's see if we can find how much she charges for her stuff. So we'll go into this 30-day reboot. So food freedom is 30 days away. Can you guys see this? No, you can't. Let's do that. The 30-day reboot is your step-by-step guide to getting off the binge diet coaster and healing your relationship with food. So it's 200 euros. That's euros, right? So let me see. 200 euros to Canadian. So that's almost 300 Canadian dollars, which means it's probably about, $220 US. Or you can do 250 euros, which will also give you access to a 30-minute one-on-one call with her. So again, this is all self-guided. You're paying almost $300 for a self-guided course. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. And then blah, 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 all of these testimonials. I will teach you how to do so many great things. Let's see, one-on-one coaching. Okay, so it's application. Wait, can you see this tab? Yeah, you can. Okay, let me make it big. You can read it. There. That should be better. Perfect. Okay, so by filling out this application, you're going to be put on a wait list to receive one-on-one coaching. This 6-month program is an individualized, all-encompassing coaching experience. It's been designed specifically for the high-achieving woman who is excelling in most areas of her life, but is constantly self-sabotaging around food and body. Tailored exactly to your needs. Then she's like, if you ever felt any of these things, the same stuff she's been talking about all over the website. This program uses her signature method to uncover the why behind your binging. Again, keep in mind this person is not a licensed medical professional. They are not a mental health worker, no certification in therapy or anything. And she claims to have the method to uncover the why behind your binging. When we all know, as I've mentioned already, and as Ruth so kindly explained in the original video, binge eating disorder or any kind of eating disorder is rooted in trauma. It's rooted in past experiences. I highly doubt that some random person who overcame their binge eating disorder by just simply deciding they didn't want to binge eat anymore has the knowledge and expertise enough to be able to uncover your why. But again, that's just my speculation, my opinion. Teaching you healing modalities And identify limiting beliefs and negative self-talk holding you back from the food and body relationship and life you desire. Breed will help you step by step to address your binging, relearn to love your body, and return to a healthy relationship with food. More than that, though, the learnings and shifts you'll make throughout the program will transcend just beyond your food and body relationship. You'll see relationships, love, life, career, and confidence soar like never before. That is a significant claim to be making, if I have ever seen one. The level of support, accountability, and guidance will be more than you could ever imagine. The investment for this experience is 3,000 euros. So that's what? That is almost $3,300 US. And that's $4,400 Canadian. So that is an expensive amount of money to be spending on someone who is not licensed. Again, I can go to therapy in Canada for $150 an hour. So let's see, how many therapy sessions could I take for $4,500? 30. I could go to therapy for 30 weeks or twice a week for 15 weeks for the price that she charges. So again, I could go to therapy for 6 months with a licensed professional for the same price. We love to see that. Or it can be paid monthly for $550. So that's even what? $550 times 6 is 3,300 euros. So that's even more money. We don't like that either. We know how I feel about payment plans if you've been here a while. Okay, what are the questions? What's my name? What's my email? What's my birthday? Where do I live? What's my Instagram handle? How is me sharing my Instagram profile going to help me? If my therapist ever asked me for my Instagram handle, I would tell him where to shove it. I'm sorry, but how is that relevant? I get it when you're like a business coach because you want to like see what their business is. But most people like aren't even really that active on Instagram, I would say, the average individual, unless you do it like me for work. Tell me about your current food and body struggles and pain points. Do we think maybe they want your Instagram handle so they can like learn personal things about you and then use that to get you to say yes? Again, just speculation, but share as much as possible about how you want your life to look after working with me. Okay, we need to talk about this specifically because this again is something we see across coaching, and this was something that is what kind of like duped me into my first coaching scam, is this idea that they want you to share with them what would your dream life look like if we solved problem XYZ? So in the context of like eating disorders, it's probably, freedom from food, the ability to eat what I want when I want, the ability to build relationships without being tied to like feeling a certain way about eating, etc. They get you to share this story so that when you're on the sales call with them, they can play into those emotions. I remember specifically when I almost purchased my first business coaching program. I didn't end up signing up with this individual because she was like a tad too aggressive. But basically, at the beginning of the call, she asked me, what's your like ultimate goal? And I remember telling her, I want to take my mom on vacation to Greece. My mom's dream has always been to go to Greece. And that's like something that I wanted to be able to provide for her. So I remember like typing that out in my application. On the sales call, she starts to go on this big, long, what's the word? Monologue about how great it would be. Danielle, imagine yourself in Greece. You're on the coast. You're eating yogurt. You're eating olives, whatever, She starts to paint this picture for me of what that would look like and what that would feel like as a way of almost guilting me into getting me to sign up for her program. And so in the context of this application, I am speculating that this person is asking these questions in order to be able to then take those things that you share of what your life would look like after you finally get the help that you need to overcome your binge eating disorder, so that they can then use it to manipulate you to get you to sign up when you're on the sales call. Have you ever worked with a coach before? If so, tell me about your experience. Similarly, this is going to be an opportunity for you to be like, yeah, I worked with Brittany. She wasn't very good. These are all the things I didn't like about her program. So that again, on the sales call, I can then be like, okay, so I know in the past you had this experience, where this person did XYZ and it was triggering for you. Well, in my program, and then you basically like overcome that objection. So it's basically a way to trick you into thinking that they have the magic solution. In my experience, from what I know, 99% of coaches do this. Okay, and then how do you want to pay? Then you probably get linked to like a calendar to sign up. So just a little bit of fun information for you. Let me get caught up again on the comments. Yeah, this is just, I get annoyed if I have to pay more than $10 for a course on Udemy. 100%. Yes. So I'm assuming you're referring back to the comment of like try on multiple therapists before you say therapy isn't for you. Not every doctor is helpful, 100%. Same with dentists. Ugh. If you know anything about me, I've been going through some dental stuff lately, and it has been a lot of back and forth between multiple different dentists, and we don't like it. uh, okay. When employers offer free group and individual health coach, many hospitals offer free and affordable programs. This is dangerous because this person does not have the multidiscipline support 100%. Yes, okay. They absolutely asked for that handle to get personal info. I used to be a copywriter. Oh, okay, interesting. Thank you for the insight. So she's saying that they ask for your personal Instagram so that they can like learn personal details about you and then use it against you, just like the answers to those questions. Even when discussing art, my feedback struggles with my therapist. She never asked for any of my handles or links to stuff where I posted. Yeah, that's like a boundary thing. Like, again, when I worked in addictions, we were obviously not allowed to have like personal relationships with our clients outside of therapy or like group. I used to run or facilitate like group counseling basically. I would never ask a client for their personal Instagram so I could see what they get up to. Like we don't have a relationship outside of our clinical capacity. That just seems like it is overstepping boundaries. Soliloquy, yes. That's what I was looking for. Love the way that the pricing is presented as an investment. It's always an investment. It's an investment in yourself, an investment in your future. And if you want to be successful in overcoming your eating disorder, you need to invest. Just like if you want to be successful in business, the only people who are successful invest in their businesses, in themselves, so that their businesses are successful. Like your MLM upline, wanting to know your why so they can use it to convince you to stay in the MLM when you want to quit. It's exactly the same. It's like any it's like cult tactics, right? We want to know what your struggles are, what your pain points are, so that we can then use them to manipulate you to give us all your money. I hate it here. Okay, I think that was a pretty good overview of like what all of this looks like. Let's just click on one more thing. I think this was maybe the other online course because she had the 30-day one and then she had a different one. You've worked on your food and body relationship, but still lose weight. Okay, yeah, this is the sustainable fat loss. So similar price to the other program, 250 euros. And you get access to the course content and a private Facebook group. Okay, let's go ahead. And if we're interested, we can watch this Why You're Still Binge Eating and How to Stop Masterclass. I also have a few other websites we can look at. Let me know in the comments what we want to do. So I have her masterclass if we want to continue with the same individual, or we can look at some other coaches' content, which we'll also get to. But what do you want to do first? Let me know. Okay. One person has spoken, so we're going with it. The masterclass sounds interesting. Interesting or incredibly problematic? We're about to decide. And I'll probably play it on like 1.5 speed if I'm able to, just because I get bored. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, we'll start with 1.25 so she doesn't sound like a
Masterclass.
chipmunk.
I'm Breed from Free with Breed. I'm a certified food and body coach, and I specialize in helping women break up with the binge diet cycle and fall in love with their bodies. Today, we'll learn about why you're still binge eating and how to stop. Let's get stuck in. So let me start by saying I'm thrilled to have you here. You are going to learn a lot, and you're going to be feeling so inspired by the end of this, I am sure of it.
Again, this is a filter into her €200 30-day course.
On that note, stay until the end for a special bonus that will only be available for the next hour after the masterclass ends. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this one. Now, what you're going to walk away with by the end of this is one, why you're still binge eating, getting that clarity and awareness. So then two, you can take actionable steps towards releasing binging from your life. So I'll be sharing 3 actionable steps that you can implement immediately to start seeing results. And last but definitely not least, you are going to be feeling so hopeful that binging is not something that you're just going to have to deal with for the rest of your life. It is absolutely possible to end this habit once and for all. Before we jump in, just a quick one, make sure to turn your phone on to silent, remove any distractions. See this next 45 minutes as an investment into achieving a binge-free life, to change your life.
Oh, this is 45
also,
minutes?
grab a
Okay, we're
notepad and
definitely not
pen
watching
because
this
you
whole
will
thing.
definitely want to take some notes. Also,
She also doesn't give me the ability to like skip through it. So RIP to
take a quick
us.
screenshot of you watching this masterclass, DM it to me on Instagram at Free with Breed, along with any questions that you might have by the end of this masterclass. Okay, question for you. Are you ready to finally stop having those out of control binges? Ready to stop obsessing about your weight? Ready to have a healthy, happy relationship with food and your body? Now jot this down in your notepad. Why do you think you haven't been able to stop binge eating yet? Pause the video if you have to, and then come back to this. And then tell me, does this sound like you? You've tried to break the binge diet cycle a million times, but it keeps getting worse. You feel more hopeless as time goes on. You're in that all or nothing mindset, either extreme diets or massive binges. You might even have some purging going on, over exercising, use of laxatives or diet pills. You have that insomnia from the sugar rush of late night binges. Your digestion is messed up from this yo-yoing dieting. You're wasting money on binge food or the fancy diet shakes and healthy powders. And you want to be able to live your life without constantly thinking about food and your weight 24/7.
Again, she's using this like imaginary checklist of all of the possible scenarios you could find yourself in so that when you're watching this, you're nodding along, thinking she is speaking directly to me.
You're stressing about your weight all the time. You're feeling shameful and secretive of your eating patterns. And you're always on that chase for the perfect body, the goal weight. And of course, you wish you could finally just stop binge eating. You're sick of feeling disgusting and guilty after those binges, feeling out of control with food. If you're anything like I was, you're fearful of having those certain binge foods in the house because you can't trust yourself. You're unable to truly focus on the bigger picture in life because you're so fixated on food and your body. And sadly, missing out on memories, previous and future ones, relationships, and social events. Okay, the good news, it doesn't.
It's to give other people FOMO. Kirsten's asking, what's the point of screenshotting? I heard Fraser Brooks say that yesterday on Heather's Live. So you take a picture, you share it on your story. People get FOMO. They want to know what's going on. And then it just increases intrigue and potential leads for the scammer. Kirsten says, I'm late, but I'm guessing she's not a dietitian or a therapist. No, she's a certified health coach or binge eating coach. I forget what she said. Either way, she didn't actually specify where she got that certification from. Like it's not like when you see like, oh, I'm an ICF certified life coach. It just says I'm a certified health coach. So it could have been on Udemy for $10 for all we know. So welcome.
Does not have to be this way forever. I promise you, there is a way out. I've helped hundreds of women do so, from group coaching to one-to-ones to my courses and speaking events. So before we get into the why and how of stopping binge eating, I want to share this with you.
Lindsay.
So yes, I have helped hundreds of women stop binge eating, but really it all started with me helping myself first. So I struggled for 10 years and it was a rough ride. That photo there is me probably in the middle of those 10 years. And yes, I'm smiling, but underneath that smile was a woman who felt so unsure of herself, was constantly at war with her body, and spent that entire summer as she traveled to amazing places like California. She spent it worrying about her body and trying to lose weight. Now, there were periods of time where I would literally binge every single day for months on end, usually after a rock bottom of some sort. And actually, one of those rock bottoms was I'd finally mustered up the courage to say yes to a party after hiding away for about a year. And I was nearly at my heaviest weight at this point. A guy at the bar who had been my friend laughed and grabbed at my belly fat, saying loudly, "When did you get so fat?" And I was mortified. I nervously laughed. I didn't know what to do. And I left. I ran out of the party. And I went on a full-on binging bender for about 2 months after that. Huge 750-gram jars of Nutella a day on top of my meals. So my weight was fluctuating constantly up and down 25 kilos, or the equivalent of over 50 pounds up and down. I felt so ashamed that I had previously been this healthy, sporty girl people knew me as growing up, and now I couldn't keep this steady weight. I was constantly worried about what others were thinking of me, that they were judging me, pitying me, and wondering what's happened to her, like why she let herself go. I was in this constant war with my weight, weighing and tracking it daily for years, always trying to plan and figure out how the hell can I lose this weight quickly. So maybe you've had quite a few rock bottoms already yourself. One of mine was, it was another day of binging on an entire bag of cookie dough, which was about 36 cookies worth, and I had already been binging all the time on these packets for months, and I felt so out of control. I even had a calendar beside my bed just
Especially now, like, I'm trying to think back to when I was, like, 20, if a friend came up to me and was like, "Wow, you look fat." I would be like, "WTF, man, get out." Like, I think even back then I would have done that. So weird.
just to tick off the days where I didn't binge with a green tick, or the ones where I did binge with a red cross, and I could not for the life of me get past one day with no binge. The calendar was just covered in red crosses. So one night it happened again. I thought, you know what, I have to burn this off ASAP. So at almost midnight in Hong Kong, where I was living at the time, I went on a run in the humidity up a dark hill. I felt so sick because obviously I'm running with 36 cookies in my stomach. I lay down on the concrete floor, I looked up at the sky, and I just thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? This is not how life is supposed to be. Something had to change. And yes, some positive change did happen in the months after that, but as you probably know, it's so hard to get out of the cycle, and for me, things just unraveled all over again. The cycle continued. Another was actually Googling gastric band surgery, discussing with my dad, because I felt that hopeless, that out of control with my food and my weight, that I saw the only way through, the only option would be surgery. Thankfully, I didn't go through with it, but you get the picture. Eventually, I started to figure out how to truly stop binge eating, improve my food relationship, and accept my body. It took 10 years for everything to finally come together, but luckily I cracked the code, so you do not have to. And
I hate that. I cracked the code so you don't have to wait 10 years. That in itself should be the biggest red flag.
it certainly does not need to take a decade for you, that's for sure. So once I felt like I'd reached a stable, happy place with food in my body, it dawned on me that I was sitting on a gold mine of information. I had almost just put my past behind me, like forgot about it, shut this door and just moved on. But I realized there were probably so many other women going through exactly what I did, and it would be a crime to just keep that all to myself and force
Overcoming challenge does not make you qualified to help other people overcome the same challenges, especially when it comes to mental health. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk
force everyone else to
songs.
figure it out too. So why not help them? And from that epiphany onwards, I have been obsessed, so passionate about helping other
Exactly,
women get out of
Demi.
this way faster
Exactly.
than I did. So what does my life look like now? And can for you too very soon? Well, zero urge to binge. And I mean that truly. It does not exist for me anymore. It's not even a thought. It's not a part of me at all. I have
That was my thought too. Lindsay says sitting on a gold mine and then has the dollar sign face, like red flag,
found my body's
honestly.
happy weight, where it's just easy, effortless. I'm not fighting to keep it at this weight. Once I stopped binging and returned to intuitive eating, my body finally had the chance to rebalance. My food choices are so easy and relaxed.
Exactly.
There's no guilt for eating something quote unquote bad or unhealthy. There's no forcing myself to eat the healthy option when I don't really want to. I'm now eating to nourish my body and my soul as well. And aside from just food and body, my life changed too. I'm saying yes to things that I have been hiding from before because of how shitty I felt in my body from binging. Events, parties, relationships. I even found love since everything's changed, and new friendships. I'm not afraid to be seen, whether it's online, speaking engagements, in group settings. I'm saying yes to the clothes I actually want to wear, and I'm saying yes to focusing on bigger, better things than where my next meal should be. And I'm also moving my body in a way now that feels fun. Exercise isn't about punishing or burning calories. I honestly can't remember the last time I even cared about calories. It's really about being playful and challenging my body. And I fully trust myself now with ex-binge foods, something I really, truly never thought would be possible. I never thought I could have a jar of Nutella in my house and not go through it in like 2 hours. It is truly liberating. And right now, I'm 3 years all clear, binge-free, living in total alignment, and it feels incredible. Well, let's turn it back.
And because I did that, now you
Let's
can
focus on your
too.
journey, if possible.
Okay, and this again, this is the manipulation I was talking about earlier. So when they take that list of all of the things that you wish you could have in your life, they use it to help you envision what this is going to look like. And so I talk about this in the NLP video, specifically part 2, where I go over the like different tactics that Tony Robbins uses, and visualization is one of them. I am all for journaling. I appreciate visualization and how it can help you to really achieve the things that you want in life. But when it's used in this context, it is being used as a manipulation tactic, in my opinion, because what they're doing is they're getting you to close your eyes and to sit down and to imagine how all of these great things are going to happen for you only if you follow their gold mine of information, top secret 5-step program to help you achieve that thing. I don't
Possible,
like
wherever
it.
you're watching this, close your eyes for a moment. If you can't close your eyes, just hold a soft gaze. And let's take 3 soothing breaths. Breathing in through the nose, letting it go through the mouth. Another one softly in, and letting go.
I thought I was imagining the
Letting your
music
shoulders
for a
drop.
second. It's like, what does
Breathing in.
that sound? I don't know if it's just like me. But like it's very hard to focus if someone's talking. It's like when I'm playing the video in the background and I don't pause it and I try to talk over it. Like, is that not really annoying?
One more breath here, soaking it all
I
in.
hate it
Breathing
here.
in, letting go, and opening your eyes. I am going to help you get there. We are going to do this together. And proof that it's all possible, here's just one of the many examples of a woman I've worked with.
such a better place now than I was before I met you, like night and freaking day. I'm living my life. All the relationships in my life have like improved. My life is different now. It's wonderful and so much less anxiety. I'm so much calmer and I just feel like so much more at peace, really kind to myself. There's no need to beat myself up. I spend a lot more time celebrating myself and my body than I do beating it up and just getting out of that space of fear. I don't live in fear anymore. My whole life was run by fear. You really changed my life. Like you gave me my life back. And I think I would just say to anyone that's like contemplating, I keep using this word, but like it's what I did. Like pull the trigger and get the help. The only thing that's going to happen is something positive.
Yeah, get the help from the licensed professional that actually knows what they're doing, not someone who's just teaching out of personal experience.
So inspiring, and believe me, that could be you. Why are you still binge eating? As Eckhart Tolle says, awareness is the greatest agent for change. If we don't know the root of your binging, we're never going to be able to fix it. We can't go in blind to the how. So we'll go through the potential reasons behind your binging and narrow down what really applies to you. Let's start with the biggest contributor to binge eating: physical restriction. You've probably already thought about this one. If not, what is it? What does it mean? It means undereating or over-exercising and not eating enough food to make up for it. So basically, it's not energizing your body enough, cutting out entire food groups or macros like carbs, not having enough fuel coming in. This is quite literally a survival threat to your body. Starvation. If we're doing this long term, especially, eventually our body gives in. It tries to protect us by basically force feeding us through a binge, getting
This is so gross that she's talking about
in
this.
so many calories at once so we can stay alive. And that's why that urge can feel so much like you're possessed, like you just cannot fight it off. You can't logic your way out of it. It's your body taking over to protect you. It's why you feel so obsessed about food, why you can't stop thinking about it and fantasizing about it. So note down on your notepad whether you think this might apply to you, even just a bit. How about mental restriction? This is perceived restriction. It's you telling yourself you're not allowed chocolate for the rest of the month, which happens to be your favorite snack. It's you telling yourself you have to live on meal replacements up until your beach holiday. It's you placing shame and guilt when you do break those rigid rules. It's not letting yourself eat after 7 p.m. or ever have snacks. This one can feel a bit more hidden than physical restriction because if we've been dieting for years, this feels normal. Maybe all of your friends eat like this with all of these rules in place. But for now, let's note down any rules, anything that came to mind as I was listing out those examples, any off-limit foods that you've got. Note that down, pause the video if you need to. Okay, this next one can go very overlooked. Oftentimes online, especially, people talk about physical and mental restriction a lot, basically dieting, and how that affects us in terms of binging. But the emotional side can play a big role. For me, actually, it was massive. Restriction, in the sense, means suppressing your emotions, not facing them and feeling them, using food and binging to numb or hide from what's going on in your life.
Yeah, like maybe you should go to a therapist who has the appropriate tools to help you process any emotions that you're avoiding. And perhaps that would help you more than just you acknowledging that you're doing it. Also, people who struggle with this particular type of emotional restriction probably aren't aware that they're even doing it. And you know what's going to help you unearth that you are doing it? Going to therapy.
The food may even be used to add pleasure in. That dopamine hit from binging is real. So adding pleasure where you're feeling pain, boredom, loneliness, or stress. This can show up for those who binge from past trauma. It can show up as self-sabotage when we feel so bad in our bodies, so frustrated that we can't stop binging, that we can't lose the weight.
Do not, I repeat, do not discuss working through other people's trauma or even your own trauma, really, if you're not educated to be doing so. Again, might be controversial opinion, but I'm not here to do some unregulated shadow work. That could pretty much, most often, cause more harm than good.
The way
Okay?
that we say, oh, whatever, I might as well just give in and binge this whole weekend. So note down which emotions come up often for you that you just can't seem to face, and you always like immediately go to food to cover them up. Or think about, when I binge, how do I feel after or during? What is that feeling I'm trying to get to? So just to interrupt for a second, you might be feeling, oh, I'm such a disaster, I'm just out of control, I can't even face my emotions, like what's wrong with me? I want to remind you that all of this is a protective coping mechanism that we've taken on, maybe even one that was modeled in childhood from parent figures or your community. Think about the times maybe when you were crying or you were upset and a parent was just like, oh, here, have this ice cream to cheer you up. Those kind of things set in early in life. And it's okay, we can change it to something healthier. What I'm saying is your body's protecting you from undereating, it's protecting you from uncomfortable feelings, and this journey is about realizing that you are stronger, you can face the emotions, and you can take care of your body, you can work on your body image. Okay, another more subtle reason why you might still be binging is your beliefs not matching the reality you desire. One example is wanting to stop binging, but not actually believing that you can change or it's possible for you. If you don't think it's possible deep down, it's unlikely you'll miraculously, out of nowhere, just suddenly stop. We live in alignment with our beliefs and identities.
Your binge eating is a mindset. So if you struggle with an eating disorder, it's all just in your mindset. And like we said earlier, just choose to change your mindset.
So if binge eating is who you are, if you believe you're always going to be a binge eater, your brain will want to confirm
what
this
in
to
the
be true.
backwards
So
way
you will
of thinking?
keep self-sabotaging, i.e. you'll keep going back to binging. Another example is wanting to live a balanced, happy life, but believing that you must lose weight fast to be happy and worthy. With that belief, we'll always be taking rushed, panicked action to diet, and then we'll fall into binging. So that hyper focus on weight loss, that I need to be skinny, I need to lose weight to feel XYZ, is one of the biggest blockers I have seen so far to stopping binge eating in clients. It leads to such overwhelm, panic, self-sabotage, guilt when we even eat one quote unquote bad thing. We cannot heal what we hate. So pause the video if you need, note down any beliefs that you hold that might keep you staying stuck. Maybe it's she can, but I can't because blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's beliefs of how your body has to look and how that self-sabotages you. Maybe it's the I can't change belief. Okay, one last reason why you might still be binging, despite trying all the things, lifting the restrictions, is not applying the 3 C's. When we want to make long-term serious change, we need to apply 1, consciousness, so awareness of our actions, patterns, thoughts, beliefs. 2, we've got to apply choice, choosing to shift to more helpful thoughts and behaviors, acting in a way that your future self will thank you for, breaking those subconscious patterns, choosing a different way, and very importantly, consistency. We need to be lifting restrictions all the time, not just when we're feeling good about our body, not just when life feels easy. So these 3 things, consciousness, choice, consistency, equal change.
It's not that easy. Again, I'm like a broken record here, but we don't just choose to stop restricting ourselves. Otherwise, if we could just choose, we would do
It's not
it.
sexy, but it's what changes your life for the better. So note down if you've been honestly applying those 3
Hello?
C's for at least 3 months. And if not, where
Is
are the
anyone
gaps?
home?
I'm sure by now you have some clues and ideas as to why you're still binge eating. It's there in front of you on the notepad. Now, how the hell do we stop binge eating? Well, I'm sure the why has probably already given you some ideas as to what to do. One very obvious one is lifting the restrictions, all of them, the physical, the mental, the emotional. I had a client once who was severely restricting and then binging on 10,000s of calories on weekends, and she was terrified to lift the restrictions because she feared weight gain so much. So she had been trying to just do them one at a time here and there, but wasn't seeing results. She was still binging because she was just restricting elsewhere. Once she finally went all in and lifted all the rules, ate more for her body, her life did a complete 180. So write down just one commitment that you're going to make to yourself for the next week in real life regarding lifting restrictions. Remember, physical, mental, emotional. So maybe tackle one of those to start off with. I would recommend physical, unless you have really identified one of the others as your big blocker. Okay, so actually I mentioned in the first one of lifting all the restrictions that sometimes we're scared to lift the restrictions because our fear of weight gain. That brings me to the second, how. That's surrendering to weight loss goals. Those beliefs, those fat phobic feelings we have.
Thank you, Ray. Ray says, mindset is the red flag for me as an RN and knows many patients who require more than that. Exactly. This is the thing is like, again, this particular individual is just an example of what we see across the space. But this simplistic, like oversimplified approach to a solution to a very complex problem is, in my opinion, incredibly problematic. Because if the solution was as easy as just choosing to not have the problem anymore, we wouldn't have anyone struggling with disordered eating. We wouldn't have anyone struggling with alcoholism. We wouldn't have anyone struggling with addiction of any kind if the solution was as easy as just choosing not to do the thing. Like, it's so backwards.
About fearing weight gain, fearing being fat, fearing becoming fat. If we don't tend to this, it's going to be really hard to lift restrictions because we're still low-key just terrified to not lose weight or terrified to gain weight. So really look at those beliefs that you hold. It's very likely that your hyper-focused attachment to losing weight is keeping you stuck. And honestly, if there was one thing that changed my story for the better, it was when I finally pressed pause on weight loss, legitimately. I stopped weighing myself, stopped trying to lose weight all the time, stopped trying to think about how to lose weight. It was the turning point for me that honestly changed everything. And not only did it mean I wasn't restricting, it also meant I started living life more, wearing what I wanted now instead of waiting to lose weight, let myself be happy now, let myself focus on other areas of my life that needed attention. And that might all apply to you as well, maybe it rings a bell. So write down one way that you can release your desire to lose weight. This isn't an easy one, so definitely take it step by step. Maybe it could be letting yourself know that you're enough when you look in the mirror. Maybe it's curating your social media to show diversity in bodies that look like.
This is the piece that I don't really know. And I've often wondered myself in like this coaching or again, life coaching, any of it. It's like, how are these people who make these like grandiose claims and not obviously being able to deliver on the promises they've made, not getting sued? Maybe it's just because the types of people they're targeting are like so desperate and vulnerable that, and this is like kind of generalizing a bit, but from my observations and experience, I think they're also the type of people who would like place the blame on themselves. So if they take these programs and they don't get the results they're promised, they don't necessarily think it's the practitioner's fault so much as their own inability to like follow through on the things that they've learned. And so maybe they're just not the type of people who would go out and like sue someone. But I don't know. I've wondered this a lot. How do they not get sued? I also don't understand. If anyone else has hypothesis in the comments, let me know. It's very unkind of me, but the more she talks about this, the more I doubt her story of even having these problems to begin with, if it was that easy for her to overcome it. Yeah, I think that, and again, this came up in the first video that I did with the one individual who talked about her alcohol addiction. It's very hard for me to not necessarily to believe that they experience these things, but to believe the severity at which they experience these things. So I think a lot of the times in, again, the coaching space in general, you're often encouraged to kind of like over exaggerate the severity of any challenge that you faced as a means of allowing people to be able to relate to you. So if we think back to like Catherine Zankina, when I talked about the Manifestation Babe Academy, she really emphasizes this fact that she was living on her grandma's couch. And, I went from living on my grandma's couch to building this multiple $1 million business. When the reality is, her grandma offered to let her live on her couch rent free in Los Angeles because she had a dream of living in LA. She chose to like drop out of school and move from wherever else she was living previously. I don't actually know, to go to LA. It wasn't like she was at her wit's end and had no other option and had to move to her grandma's couch. She wanted to live in LA. Her grandma offered to let her live there rent free. So she had to sleep on the couch in order to do that. They take a scenario that is maybe bad in a sense or like has some sort of challenge or struggle, and then they over exaggerate it to make it sound like it was the end of the world. And so, again, I'm not trying to discredit this woman's experience. If she struggled with binge eating, that's very hard, I'm sure. And I'm not saying that it would be like easy to overcome, but I think that a lot of the stories get embellished as a means of being able to promote whatever it is they're selling. Just my opinion. Lindsay says, I'm a lot happier without my active eating disorder, but that doesn't mean I'm going to teach other people anything about weight. Exactly. Thank you. It's also because the claims are intentionally vague and the contracts only promise the coaching, not the outcome. Okay, very good point. So Hillary is saying that a lot of these people don't get sued because they don't make claims about the specific things you're going to achieve. They only say like, I will deliver you XYZ. So I will give you access to my 30-day program, but I'm not guaranteeing what you're going to get out of the 30-day program. It's just in my marketing where I make the claims of what you're going to get out. I'll bet there is something in the purchase agreement for her program saying she doesn't guarantee results. Exactly. So Lisa's saying the same thing. People can't ask for a refund or sue her if it doesn't work. You're probably right. That makes sense. They have no board who regulates them, so they would have to be a large class action like Brittany Dawn. This may make it to civil court. Yeah, okay. That's actually interesting to think about too. So I wonder though, if I was a coach that sold you on a $10,000 program and I did make claims of what you were going to achieve and then you didn't achieve those things, could you take me to small claims court? I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how that works, but that could be an option. But again, a lot of the times I think for like the time and effort that you would have to put into being like trying to get your money back, that from like a psychological perspective, a lot of the times it's easier to just cut your losses and be like, oh my God, I made a mistake, and move on with your life. At least that was always my perspective. Even though I feel like I got scammed from the coaches I've hired, I would never go through the effort of like trying to get my money back because I think the emotional and like mental toll that would take on me is not worth the amount of money that I would get back. Like just the amount of effort. I think it's different when you're talking about like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in this case, it's like, I don't know. Hello, DC. If you're still here, DC is going live in about 30 minutes, I think. So make sure to check it out. And maybe her and I will go live again soon. TBD. We're working on it. Okay. We're trying our best. Life is hard. Okay. Let's continue.
Look like yours. Maybe it's not engaging in fat talk. The whole, when we talk to our friends, we say, oh my God, I look so fat. And they're like, no, you're not, you're beautiful. Maybe it's getting rid of the scale. And let me just say that this is not to say you should feel bad for wanting to lose weight or you can never lose weight. I'm just saying in this process of trying to stop binge eating and heal your food and body relationship, I recommend pressing pause on this weight loss concept. See what happens. Because let's face it, fixating on it hasn't worked for us so far. So why not try something new? It is incredible what your body can do when you get out of its way. When we get out of our head, when we heal our food and body relationship, your body will find its happy place. Okay, the last how is build proof that you can change. Whether it's your own wins in your food and body journey or your own wins elsewhere in life, where have you proved that you can change? List that out, see how far you have already come. Maybe it's looking outside of you for expanders, people who expand what you thought was possible, people who you see yourself in that make you think, oh, if she can do it, so can I. Maybe that's me. Maybe it's the clients, the women that I'm sharing about here, or maybe it's other people you know on social media or in your real life. Having this proof is so key because our mindset when we're going through this healing journey needs to be in tip-top condition, because there will be obstacles. There will be times when you're facing the fears of weight gain. There will be times when you binge when you thought you were done with it. But having this mindset will bring you all the way to the finish line. So write down one piece of proof that you can change and one person who could be an expander for you. And for more proof, here is another woman who struggled for ages with binge eating and turned her life around.
Just really, really feeling good and really feeling inspired after dealing with the last few weeks. Like I never thought I would recover from this. I genuinely thought this was my life. And now to find out that it's not is just like the biggest reason to celebrate. I wanted to say thanks. Like, this course has been amazing, and it's shown me that what I thought was life for over a decade isn't. Like, there is so much more to life, and recovery is possible, like so possible.
So inspiring, right? Okay, just to recap, what we learned is why you're binge eating, getting that clarity, how to stop, 3 really actionable steps that you can start taking now, and the hope that it is so possible for you to change. Can I ask you something? Why did you really show up here today?
No.
I'm guessing you're here today because you want to finally stop binge eating once and for all. Never have a goddamn binge again in your life. You have tried so many different avenues and nothing has worked.
Okay, so it's the same format. If you watch any of my live videos where we go over webinars, they all use the same format. They paint a picture of where you're at. They explain their story, which hopefully helps you relate to them. Then they take you through some sort of brief exercise where you can feel like a moment of reprieve. Then they're going to make you imagine, this is why you're here. And then they sell you on their course. How do they get the testimonials? Usually it's legitimate people who have taken the program, and they'll ask them to share their experience. Or so with like the verbal ones, it's a little bit different. You have to explicitly ask for those. But with a lot of like the screenshots and stuff, those aren't usually done in a way where they're like asking you to give them feedback. They'll just randomly screenshot like bits of your conversation and then use it as proof that their program works, which to me is like a little bit problematic and not something I personally would do. But
you don't want to waste any more time, tears, or energy on fixing your body, trying to feel better about yourself. And you are ready to take some massive action and achieve a life you've always dreamt of, that you know is there waiting for you, but you just haven't got before. Remember, I have been there before. I have done all the detoxes.
Again, here we are. This is my story.
Diets, cleanse.
Okay, there's something I want to say, and I might upset some people, but I'm going to say it anyway. And maybe someone brought it up in the comments when they said we only see headshots. To me, and again, just because the way you look, it doesn't indicate that you have like a healthy relationship with food. But because she specifically emphasized the fact that her weight has fluctuated 25 kilos or 50 pounds up and down, to me, I haven't seen any evidence that that actually happened. And I'm not trying to like be rude, and I'm not trying to offend anyone who's watching, but it does make me speculate whether or not her story is true. In my
cleanses,
opinion.
boot camps, therapy, read the books. I know exactly what you're going through. I know the frustration, the panic, the anger, the sadness, the aloneness of it all. And if I can get out of that dark spiral, so can you. There's nothing special about me compared to you. You can do it as well. And this is absolutely something I wish I could have told my 18-year-old self there on the left as well, that she can get through this. And remember, none of what I've shared today is just theory. I'm not making this up. These are all processes I've personally used myself and with hundreds of women to achieve real life-changing results. Just like this woman, Viviana, we use my proven framework to help her too.
I love it. Like 100%. I learned so much. Like, I always knew that this had to do with more than my body and my.
Yeah, so she would have sent a voice note previous to this, basically being like, hey, can you just give me a quick like 30-second summary of why you loved the program or what's going well for you?
Food, but I didn't know like all the things that were involved. It was like the greatest experience I've ever had, and I honestly wouldn't be where I am now. So like it was totally worth it. Yeah, like
so nice.
best money I spent. Yeah.
And they often collect these testimonials when you're like riding a high of the program. So I remember for me, the second coach that I've hired, who I've talked about a lot on my channel, who I paid $200 a month, and she was like teaching me all these different marketing things, which were legitimately helpful in my business, like to this day. Even though in retrospect, a lot of the stuff she tried to get me to do was very problematic, at the time when I was in it, I couldn't see the red flags. And so if she had have asked me to write a testimonial, I probably would have given her a raving review, because I didn't have the like hindsight to be able to realize that the stuff she was teaching me was actually incredibly problematic. And so I think that sometimes these testimonials are gathered when these clients are at a time where they don't have the ability to kind of reflect on whether or not the things that they're being taught are actually helpful. The RN wrote that patients can lie about their weight, unfortunately. That's why we have scales. It's important information. Yes. Oh, okay, so you were the one that wrote that. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to like speculate or body shame anyone, but to me, it's like if you're saying that you have this like 50-pound weight gain and you're using that as a selling feature in the product that you're trying to shill, where's the proof? Because I haven't seen any, is all I'm saying. So anyone can say, I could sit here and be like, guys, I used to weigh an extra 100 pounds, when the reality is maybe I weighed 10 pounds more than I do right now, but I'm over exaggerating in order to embellish the program that I'm trying to sell you. That's the point I'm trying to make. Wait, is this one a call recording from a coaching call? Why is the coach? Yeah, I was wondering that too. So it's like, Hillary, let's imagine you and I are on a one-on-one call and I'm like, okay, for the next 30 seconds, I want you to brag about why you like the program. And then I'm also going to chime in while you say, oh, yeah. Like it is weird vibes. I almost said, oh, F you out loud when she said, if I can get out of this dark place, so can you. That's the least helpful thing you can say to someone who's actually in a dark place. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Like I wore a bikini for the first time.
Yeah.
And like, and I would like for the first time, like with confidence, like not feeling like poop. So I actually felt great. Like I was feeling confident, like I was with friends. So I felt good about myself. So
yeah, this makes me wonder whether or not these people are consenting to having this displayed publicly or if she's literally just recording their
that was a
coaching
big
call.
win, definitely. Like I would never see myself doing that.
Like maybe she just asked them, can you tell me some of your wins for this month? And then they start saying all of that. And she's
And
like,
now
okay, I'm using
it's your
this as a
time to get that
testimonial.
binge-free life with a little bit of help by your side from me with the guidance of
Again, it gives me the same vibes as like if Hillary was my client and she sent me a message in Voxer that was like, oh my God, Danielle, like these are the things that I accomplished this week. If I screenshotted that and then used it as a testimonial without her consent, that's the
my
same vibe.
step-by-step system. And so I would love to introduce you to the 30-day reboot,
Yeah.
my signature online course that helps you stop binge eating and find food peace. What you'll achieve in this course is, obviously, we're going to get you to that binge-free life.
Okay, now she's just going to walk us through the course. We already went through this. If you missed that, scroll back in the video, get yourself caught up. But it's a 30-day course and it costs $300 Canadian. So we don't like it. Again, how is a 30-day course going to encompass all of the potential issues that someone who struggles with binge eating faces? Make it make sense. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay. That's enough for that creator specifically. Again, if you jumped on a little bit late, we're just kind of looking at an overflow of content that I have from the video listed in the description from when I did that video. Rather than make like a 2-hour long video, I just split up the content. I have another website that we're going to look at as well. And then that'll be it for today. The two sketchy coaching calls I did were recorded, creep me out, realize I lost control of that private info. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems icky to me, especially if they're going to use it for marketing. It's different if like I was on a one-on-one strategy session with you. We're going to sit down and we're going to map out, your marketing plan for the next month. And you want to have a recording that you can refer back to because you maybe struggle with taking notes and you can't keep up. And you want to make sure you don't miss anything. That's completely different than me recording the call and then cutting out the snips where you're talking and saying positive about things about working with me. And then I'm using it in my marketing material. Like that just gives me a big ick. And I've actually seen coaches do this when they teach like a paid masterclass, let's say. So let's say I charge $97 and you can attend my online workshop and I'm going to teach you about, how to make Instagram posts. And I've seen coaches screenshot the chat and then use that as like social proof to try and sell like the replay. It seems weird to me. I've never been a big fan of like getting feedback or testimonials in a way where the person is not consenting to providing that feedback. Like I have absolutely, when I had my yoga studio, I would reach out to yoga clients of mine and ask them, if you've had a positive experience, can you please like summarize in a paragraph what it's like working with me? And then they would know what they were doing. They would type it out and then I would use that in my marketing. I don't have a problem with people doing that, for the record. It's when people do it in a way where they don't know that that's what they're doing. So even if you go to my like link in bio that I have on my Instagram profile where I sell like my online course, my social media audits and that kind of thing, the reviews that you see on there came from me specifically asking clients, do you mind if I share this on my social media? So it's not just like me being sneaky. It seems sneaky. It's giving inauthentic, sneaky vibes, and I don't like it. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So Hillary's saying 100% it has happened to me. Sometimes even if it's anonymized, like they make it anonymous so nobody knows who said it. I didn't actually consent and it's pretty obvious who said it. Yeah. And I think like sometimes that's in our head where we think like, "Oh my god, everyone's going to know it was me." But even still, regardless, it's not okay. If I didn't consent to you sharing our conversation on the internet, regardless of whether you cut my name out or not, I don't want you to share my name on the internet or share my thoughts on the internet without my permission. That's my perspective. And so that's why you will very rarely see me share screenshots of conversations I have with clients because I don't want to put someone in an uncomfortable position where they feel like it's not a safe container to talk with me, you know? Okay. This next coaching duo, we will say, came up. I was going to put them in the original video, but I thought that it would require like too much time. There was too much I wanted to say. So I thought we could talk about it today. Yeah, that's fair too. So Janae's saying sometimes the consent is hidden in the coaching contract. I personally haven't seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of these coaches like sneak it in where it's like, all of our conversations aren't actually private, or I record everything you say and I can use it for marketing purposes. I would not be surprised to see a clause like that. Okay, here we go. So these people call themselves the binge code, which immediate red flag in my opinion. We'll go to their main page. So when I Googled binge eating coach, they came up. They were like one of the first people to rank on Google for me. And so it says, are you ready to change your life? Are you trapped in a cycle of overeating? Is food a battleground? Cravings out of control? Discover a science-based program to end cravings, feel in control, and lose excess weight based on the #1 Amazon selling book. So what is this book? I don't know. A new approach to overcoming binge eating and bulimia. Interesting. So we have now a blanket solution to everything. Yeah, gotta show off the thigh gap. We hate it here. We have one mission to free you from binge cravings no matter what life throws at you. Okay, here we go. The binge code is our science-based, tried and tested methodology developed over 10 years of coaching, as well as 2 best-selling books, The Bulimia Help Method and The Binge Code. So let's just have a little look. The Bulimia Help Method, a revolutionary approach that works. The best reviewed, best-selling bulimia recovery book on Amazon since 2014. A revolutionary new approach that works. And so their credentials are non-existent. It just says best-selling authors of The Binge Code. So if we go to that one. Oh, and it literally just refers you to the other book. So her credentials are the best on the bulimia book, it's the best-selling author of The Binge Code, and on the Binge Code book, it's the best-selling author of The Bulimia Help Method. So this is very interesting. Okay, so they sell these books on Amazon and they help people get life-changing results, and they've helped thousands of people find peace with food. So let's see what their credentials are. Yeah, love the no MD or no PsyD. They aren't psychologists, they aren't licensed therapists, they aren't doctors. I don't think anyway. Maybe we will be proven wrong here. It doesn't matter if you binge on food once a week or multiple times a day. It doesn't matter if you're overweight, underweight, or normal weight. What is normal weight? Someone in the comments, please define normal weight. Is that a thing? Does that exist? Because I don't think it does. If you find yourself uncontrollable around food, you are in the right place. We can help you. We've written 2 books on overcoming eating disorders, and we've been coaching recovery since 2008. We specialize in coaching people who end their struggle with binge eating, overeating, and bulimia. We help them get off the roller coaster of guilt, blah, 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 blah. We have a high recovery success rate. Our books are some of the best reviewed on Amazon within their field with an incredible 96% approval rate. Over the past 10 years, we have helped thousands of people recover. Blah, 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 blah. So basically what they're doing is they're taking the number of books they've sold, and I'm speculating, but I think what they're doing is they're taking the number of books they've sold and then saying, we've helped 1,000 people. So because I've sold 1,000 books, I've helped 1,000 people. That's not necessarily true. Why people come to us for coaching. We speak from experience. You're not just another client. We know what we are talking about. We are best-selling authors. We are endorsed by people with qualifications. Therefore, we know what we're talking about. A doctor told us that our book is good. Therefore, we are qualified to teach people how to overcome their disordered eating. That is the most backwards thing I've ever read. We know what we're talking about because we've been there too. Again, as I've been saying on and on and on for the last hour and a half, just because you have experience in something, that doesn't qualify you to teach other people how to overcome it. Your experience does not equate to their experience, nor does it allow you to understand the pain, the loneliness, the challenge, and the struggles that they may be facing in overcoming whatever it is they're experiencing. Ugh, our service is private and discreet. We will not send anything to your home address. Oh my God. I hate it here. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't have the page set up correctly. But anyway, my rant should hopefully summarize what it says on this page. Huh. Okay. Life coaches don't need to be messing around with eating disorders. This is literally life or death. Yes, exactly. Thank you. And for those of you that missed the intro, Tom is Reaction Therapy in real life. That's his real name. I'm outing him. We're going live on Thursday. So if you have questions for a licensed therapist on his perspective on the coaching industry, stay tuned for a community post coming tomorrow, or come join us on Thursday and you can ask us live in the chat. It's going to be a good one. We might even do some reaction, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, this is like unbelievable. The first one where it says like, we speak from experience because we're best-selling authors and we're endorsed by people who have actual credentials. That makes us licensed professionals, basically. Literally, Kirsten, it's giving those vibes. Credentials, trust me, bro. It's like a life coach being like, well, my best friend is a licensed therapist. Therefore, I'm qualified to give you life advice. The more you know. Okay, so let's see what it says about her. Do I have this on the right screen? I do. Okay. Hi there. I'm delighted to have you. My name is Allie Kerr, and I suffer from both bulimia and binge eating over a period of 10 years. At its worst, I was binge purging over 10 times a day and feared for my life. That's really awful. Again, eating disorders can be life or death. And it's not something that I'm trying to downplay. And I'm not trying to like discredit anyone's experience, but having experienced that and overcome it doesn't make you qualified to help other people. That's my opinion. Okay, so then she talks about how all of the issues she faced. In 2003, I hit my rock bottom. I found myself passed out on the toilet floor. My heart was palpitating. Okay, so you should be going to the hospital. This had to stop. I didn't want to die. Yes. Okay. So right off the bat, okay. So sorry, I don't want to read all of this. So I'm just eating food fills you simultaneously with feelings of pleasure, guilt, dread, and shame. Somehow you can just eat, and never seem to reach the point where you feel satisfied. Afterward, you're worried, you gain weight, and berate yourself for lacking control. Okay. So it really doesn't say anything about how she overcame it. It just said she struggled with all these things and then wrote a book. I documented my findings. So she interviewed a bunch of people and then wrote a book about it. And now they have a course and they sell their book. And then they have binge coaches. What is happening? So Tom says, my credentials don't even qualify me to treat these people because I don't have training. Sorry, sirens. City living, baby. I don't have the training needed to refer. So I refer to people who do. Exactly. See? Oh my goodness. Yes, we're looking forward to Thursday. It's going to be fun. So come hang out with us. Otherwise, it's just going to be me and Tom talking to each other, which is fun too, you know? A little Google Meet chat on YouTube. She just quit. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of gaps in this story. It doesn't really say what happened. She just wrote a book. Lindsay says, I looked up one of the books and her husband is a co-author and wrote, Richard describes himself as qualified by experience. Stop. No. Oh, no. That's bad. That's bad, bad, bad. We don't like that here. Okay, I kind of jumped into this this coaching questionnaire. But let's just kind of see. How can we ensure your coaching success? Fill out this questionnaire. Once matched, you can start coaching right away. Coaching costs $68 US a week, less than $10 a day. Less than $10 a day by $2. Like, what's 68 divided by 7? It's less than $10 a day because it's only $9.72. So you're welcome. I'm just going to fix the settings. 1 second. Okay, hopefully that's a bit better. I'm starting to fade into the darkness, but we're back. Okay. Yeah. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. Gonna find a coach, Danielle. I'm intrigued by the quiz. Okay, we are going to take the quiz. Sorry, I just got caught up by the fact that it's not $10 a day. It's only $9.72 a day. So save your quarters because this is a deal, okay? Think of all the money you could save by saving 25 cents a day. Think about it. I'm going to start a new finance program spinning off this one. So when the people sign up for the binge coaching program, I'm going to teach them what to do with that extra 25 cents a day. $68 a week, not covered by insurance. You don't say. You don't say. Okay. All our coaches are handpicked, highly qualified, and have personal firsthand experience. Okay, but what are their credentials? Okay, can we hold on and look at this? Highly qualified and have personal firsthand experience. Okay, but where did they go to school? Exactly. So Hillary's saying, who are the coaches? So it's not the best-selling authors. They have their own handpicked. The best-selling authors went and found their closest friends and recruited them to become coaches. I mean, a month's worth of coaching is equal to a doctor visit. Yeah, just, not good. Okay, so let's see. I am a female. I'm in my 30s. Over the past 2 weeks, how often have you, let's just say multiple times a day. We're going to go to the extreme here. If we're getting help, we're going to get help, you know? I almost always eat at least, okay. Oh, interesting. So no matter what I pick. Okay. So if I pick, I almost eat less than 3 meals a day. It says, don't despair. Helping you establish a regular pattern of eating is a big part in what we do. But if I click that I always eat at least 3 meals a day, it says, great, you're off to a great start. Again, it's like anything we see in the coaching space in general, this idea that they have a blanket solution that's going to work for anybody and any business. We're seeing the same thing here. I'm pointing the wrong way. We're seeing the same thing here. You have a binge eating disorder and you're not eating enough. We have a solution for you. You have a binge eating disorder and you're eating too much. We have a solution for you. I got a solution that will help everyone fix every problem. Yeah. Hillary says they coach coaches to coach you on disordered eating. Yeah, with their own non-credentials. It's giving me Brooke Castillo vibes. If anyone watched that video where I talk about how Brooke Castillo basically became a millionaire by one day waking up, deciding she wanted to be a life coach. She took a 2-day weekend-long course, became a life coach, and then created her own school where she now certifies other life coaches, literally called the Life Coach School. Let me find the video and I will link it in the comments just in case you haven't seen it. But it's giving those same vibes, you know? I want to overcome my eating disorder. So I decided I was going to overcome it. And now I'm going to coach other coaches on how to coach people to overcome their eating disorders. Basically, again, Brooke Castillo vibes. That's what we're going to call it around here. Let me see. Thank you so much, Lori, for coming. I appreciate you for being here and for contributing and for lurking in the background. I hope you have a great night. Okay, DC is going live in 11 minutes, so we'll try and wrap this up quickly. Yeah, okay, so let's continue. After a binge eating episode, do you ever engage in any of the following? Okay, let's just say I do all of it. Except none of the above, because that wouldn't make sense. How do you feel about your current weight? I'm very uncomfortable. Do you have a goal weight? Yes. People's goal weight is often different than their body's ideal weight. We're not saying that this is the case for you, but we want to help you feel great at your ideal weight. We'll unpack this a lot more throughout your journey. Great, can't wait. Roughly how long have you suffered from food issues? 10 plus years. Don't despair. Okay, 3 to 10 years. Don't despair. 1 to 3 years. Don't despair. Under 1 year, you don't care. Interesting. We believe that if you commit to recovery, you can overcome this. Perfect. How much is binge eating negatively affecting your quality of life? Extremely. How motivated are you to end your eating issues? Very motivated. Glad to hear it. Your coach will help you keep you motivated throughout and provide you support, knowledge, and accountability needed to make lasting change. What if I say not at all? Don't worry, your coach is on hand to provide you with the motivation. Again, blanket solution. You are ready to make a change? We got you. You're not ready to make a change? We also got you. What desired outcomes would you like to have? Okay, I want all of them. Your coach will help you break big goals into small daily practices. Perfect. Hopefully, they can help with all of these things. What would you prefer? I prefer to talk to my coach over the phone or video with additional email support. I prefer to only communicate via email. Okay, so the first one is with this option, every week you'll get a one-on-one private coaching session. During the call, you and your coach will discuss and reflect on your progress. Together, you'll devise an action plan. Okay, pretty standard. We call this email coaching. This option offers you the most flexibility and is ideal if you're busy or short on time. Okay, I don't know if anyone has ever done like text therapy before, but from my personal experience, it wasn't very effective. I really actually hated it. So I essentially, when I first started going to therapy, I was afraid to like actually talk to someone. So I did instant message therapy where you would like type out your issues. And I honestly found it so much more frustrating than just being able to like explain in person what I was going through. It was like the responses took so long. The therapist wasn't really able to understand what I was struggling with through text. It was very frustrating, my experience, but maybe other people prefer that. For me, not it. But again, does that mean therapy's not for me? No. What did I do? I hired a therapist I could talk to on the phone. Okay. Let's use my burner email again and see what we get. Submit. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's going to take 24 hours. Okay, stay tuned, everyone. We will find out whether or not this is the life for me. TBD. Okay. What is happening? I don't know. I have too many tabs open. I keep getting confused. So they have their books, they're free, and then one-on-one coaching. Okay, so here we go. This is what we need to know about their coaching offer. 100% private professional online coaching for binge eating anytime, anywhere. Our highly experienced coaches have been there, lived through recovery, and understand exactly what you're going through. Proven coaching methodology equals results, your own dedicated coach, simple, practical focus, world-class coaching at a low price, true understanding, life-changing results, follow a plan made for you. And then they have a refund policy. Okay, we'll get to that. So basically, again, the same things we see. Okay, so here we go. This is interesting. Here are some of the coaches. So this one has a PhD in public health nutrition and is a certified health coach from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. See, that's what I was looking for on that other person's website we looked at. It's like, where did you become a certified health coach? Okay, this is really interesting to me because a lot of these people seem to have like legitimate credentials or somewhat legitimate credentials, more so than the actual authors of the book and creators of the program. So to me, that's like very interesting. And it's especially interesting to me because if I was someone who had these credentials, wouldn't it be like weird to me to like go work for someone who has less qualifications than I do? And I don't know if maybe some of you disagree with me, but if I'm like going to coach people on binge eating as like a licensed dietitian, let's say, why would I go work with someone who just overcame their eating disorder and wrote a book about it versus like working in an actual clinic? What's the appeal here? What am I missing? Somebody tell me. Meet your individual needs, supported by science. Coaching is based on principles from several disciplines, including neuroscience, positive psychology, behavior change therapy, and mind-body coaching. Okay, so I read a book once about the neuroscience of making decisions, and now I can say that my program is evidence-based and supported by science. Combines elements of CBT, ACT, DBT, and nutritional therapy. Okay, but are you actually a therapist trained in those modalities? Or did you just take an online course on Udemy that taught you what CBD was? CBT, not CBD. Yeah, that seems pretty sus. Okay, not just me. Yeah, maybe. This is true. So Kirsten's saying, I wonder if it's a quick, easy side hustle. So if I'm like a registered dietitian and I work at a clinic, 40 hours a week, maybe this is just a quick way for me to make some money on the side. Kind of like how therapists will have private clients on top of their like actual practice. Could be. Lisa says, I could see communicating via email with a therapist you are seeing in person to ask a specific question or ask clarification on something discussed in a session, but not as the only way you talk. Exactly. Yeah, that was the most frustrating part because I was like trying to describe a very specific scenario. And through text, she wasn't like interpreting it correctly. And she would get hung up on like specific details that weren't relevant. And I just found it so frustrating. But I definitely agree with that. It's the same with like right now when I work with my marketing clients. We will talk on the phone once every 2 weeks, and that gives us the opportunity to really like fully understand, what the client needs, how I can help, and then they have the option to follow up with me and ask questions as we work to implement it. So it's like in any profession, I feel like the one-on-one support where you can actually like talk to a real person is just unmatched. Okay, so I've seen people online shifting from working as therapists to the life coaching space, less regulation, more financial upside. Yeah, exactly. I actually remember having this conversation with a group of friends of mine who are all therapists. Why am I friends with so many therapists? Okay, well, actually, I was friends with one therapist who was friends with multiple other therapists, and I was hanging out with all of them one day, and I was explaining to them like what the life coaching industry is, how it works, how all these people are like making so much money being life coaches. And literally, one of them was seriously considering closing her practice and just becoming a life coach because she was like, "Oh my god, I don't get paid enough." So I can see it, and I know of other actual therapists that have done that, who have opened private practices as life coaches. So I don't know. Seems sus to me, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. Okay, this is your coaching. We cater to you, and then options on how to chat. It's affordable. You got access to a library of tools, blah, 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 blah. And now you get started for just $13 a day. So I thought coaching was less than $10, but now it's $13. So who knows? The cost of coaching through Binge Code is $13 a day. Maybe they haven't updated the like application page. Okay, let's see. Refund policy. How long should I sign up for? Okay, minimum of 3 months they recommend. Okay. Here we go. What is the difference between coaching and therapy? Therapy focuses more on analyzing your past behaviors and introspection. Can we please stop this narrative that therapy only focuses on your past? It's not true. For the record, as someone who has actively been in therapy, it is, yes, we talk about, the things you've been through, why you, experience the things you do now because of things you've experienced in the past. But the purpose, at least in my experience of going to therapy, is to work towards creating things in the future. So we are talking about why I am in my current experience based on the things I've experienced in the past and how I can overcome those things and use them as tools to move forward into the future. Coaching focuses more on the forward, taking action and making positive change. So does therapy, in my experience. If anyone else is comfortable talking about their experience in therapy, please share it in the comments because I am so sick of this constantly being talked about in my comment section, anywhere on the internet, especially in the coaching space where people are like essentially shitting on therapy because coaching is the thing that's going to propel you forward. No, that's exactly what therapy is going to do, in my experience, after you work through all the shit. Makes me so angry. Heather says, $13 a day adds up really quickly. Absolutely, it does. That's a lot of money. Like, what is that in a year? $13 times 365. That's $5,000 a year almost. That's crazy. Sorry, I shouldn't have used that word, but that is just literally so ridiculous. Demi says that's been my experience with therapy too. Okay, so it's not just me. I'm like, I don't know who created the story that therapy only focuses on your past. That seems so unproductive. Yeah. 100%. Function more smoothly now. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I function the way I do currently because of therapy. Exactly. So we talk about, things that happened in the past and how that made me feel and what I learned from those experiences. And, I take those things and then I learn how to apply them into my present day relationship, which ultimately is going to impact what happens in the future because I learn how to exist as a person in the now. Oh, it's so frustrating. Oh no, Kirsten, I'm so sorry to hear that. I have had horrible experiences with therapy, which did throw me into a worst life coaching session. I'm so sorry. That's really awful. Ray says, I talked to a licensed clinical social worker through my insurance, $35, and we tackle my current concerns and future, a little past, but not much. Exactly. Yeah, I think that with anything, when you're like experiencing something in the present, there is a level of like, okay, well, what happened in the past that has caused the present situation to sort of arise in the way that it has? Like, that's necessary. Even if we talk about eating disorders, in a therapeutic setting, if you're working to overcome that eating disorder, you need to talk about how you ended up in the situation that you're in. But then it's like, okay, now that we understand this, how can we use this as a tool to continue to move forward? And so, I don't know, it really irritates me when they say it like this. Yeah, I was saying that the concept was crazy, but I know sometimes people get upset when we use the word crazy. So, I try to avoid using it on my channel. But sometimes I slip. And no, I wasn't saying this person was crazy. I was saying the concept was just crazy, making me feel like a little bit ridiculous. Okay. Okay. Let me switch my view back. I got a flip flop, flippity flop. Do I need to see a doctor? Please remember this program is meant as general advice. It's not professional opinion. Well, you certainly advertise it as if it equates to a professional opinion, in my opinion. Ay. This little paragraph right here is really the quintessential example of why this is so problematic because they do all this marketing to make it seem like they have the perfect solution for you to help you overcome your eating disorder. But it's not professional advice. We're just giving general advice on things that we know anecdotally. Disgusting, in my opinion. Okay. So that's pretty much that. I did want to look at the refund policy quickly because they keep calling it a fair refund policy. So let's see how fair it is. Okay. Bad refund policies are infuriating. You feel like the company's trying to rip you off. We never want people to feel like that. Blah, blah, blah. We will take steps to resolve any issue, including helping you find a new coach, extending your subscription, blah, blah, blah. Example of full refunds we've granted. If you were charged for your next month of service, but you meant to cancel, we're happy to refund. If you forgot to cancel your account a couple months ago and you haven't used it since, we'll give you a full refund. If your coach was unavailable for a week, we can give you an extra week. That's not giving a refund. This says examples of full refunds. And then it says, if your coach was unavailable, we can give you an extra week. That's not a refund. Definition of a refund is giving someone their money back. If you wish to change your coach, but there isn't another coach available, we can extend your subscription. Again, that's not a refund. Examples of refunds we don't grant. Refunds for unused time that are not granted because our coaches bill us a month in advance or bill us in advance for the allocated time. Okay. We are happy to refund you for the course as long as you have demonstrated at least attempting to implement the strategies. You must show documented proof that you have completed at least 3 of the weekly workbooks distributed during the course. This is the kind of refund policy that I do not like and is very, very common across, again, any type of coaching is like, oh, we have a money back policy, but you have to prove to us that you watched all 12 lectures and did all 50 assignments and blah, 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 blah. Like they make it the most absurd, outlandish, complicated proof that you wouldn't even bother submitting the proof because it's like not even worth my time. At the end of the day, nearly everything on the edges comes down by a case-by-case basis. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm sufficiently irritated, so I think we're gonna shut that down. My husband and I did some couples therapy, and it was all about improving our current communication style, and she worked with us how to improve it, all about current state and exactly how can we work through this issue to not have this issue in the future. Yeah, Heather, that's my hesitation as well. So Heather's saying, why do we need to justify our need for a refund? Seems silly. And this came up, I think, in one of the anonymous interviews I did, where this individual was basically like trying to say, you know, I'm a student, I have to pay for my tuition, I have rent coming up, I need my money back. And this coach kept trying to be like, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? It's like, no, I don't need to justify why I want my money back. It's my money. I didn't get what I paid for. In that case, she hadn't even like started the program yet. She literally signed up and then the next day wanted a refund, and they were like giving her such a hard time. Thankfully, she got her money back, but it was just like, if I am someone who spent my hard-earned money and I want it back, just give me my money back. I don't have to jump through all these hoops to get the money back. The only reason they would have that kind of policy is because they don't want to ever have to give you your money back. Ugh, so freaking frustrating. Okay. That's going to be it for me today. I do concur. I am, again, sufficiently irritated, so I think we will leave it at that. I want to remind you all that DC is live right now, so go jump in her chat, say hi, and give her a thumbs up. Make sure to give this stream a thumbs up if you haven't already. Reaction Therapy, Tom and I are going live Thursday at 6 p.m., so set your reminders in your whatever notifications on YouTube. Heather, when are you going live next? Let me see. Oh, I spelt your name wrong. Not sure, but I will link to Heather's profile. Meow. Right now. I don't see you have anything scheduled, so I will just drop that in the chat. Subscribe to Heather if you're not already. Thank you so much for being here and enjoying part 2 with me. I am going to be going live. Oh my God, I forgot to mention. I'm going live every Monday at 4 p.m. for the foreseeable future. So mark your calendars because this is going to be a regular event. We can hang out together and snark on the internet. Every week will be something different, but stay tuned, okay? Take care, comb your hair. If you have any questions in the meantime, I'm all over the internet. You know where to find me. And I'll be posting a new video soon. Okay. I need to get out of here.